How's it going, guys? It's Eclipse here, and welcome to the next season news for World of Tanks console. We're going to get into everything regarding the new operations that are coming to World of Tanks Modern Armor, and you'll be able to see them right on screen. We essentially have the monster tanks back in the game, and we're going to be able to pick them up for free, so long as you actually complete the operation. Now, what do you actually have to do to be able to get your monster tank and all of the other rewards that come with the operation? Well, let's get into it. So, Monster Hunter Challenge, let's just give you a little bit of a background to the challenge itself. It comes around every single year, and essentially you can pick up a Monster Hunter tank, which are things like the Wraith. You've got loads of different premium tanks that are essentially the monster tanks or Halloween tanks. I think the Goronich is one. You have loads of them. There's like a mutant version, which is the M6A2E1 Bog Horror, I think it is. You've got things like the Lycan. They're all Monster Hunter tanks, and you'll be able to pick them up. Now, how do you actually get them? Well, you have to complete the various different challenges. Each challenge requires you to get XP in this event. So if you want to do that, you have to earn 10,000 XP. Will get you the repair kit and the med kit, which are free. Of course, you don't have to pay anything for any of these operations. They are literally just free. Of course, you do have the new season pass that will be coming out. So, of course, you have to pay for that this next season. But these tanks, Monster Hunter 2, earn 15,000 XP. You get 100,000 silver, a further 15,000, so every single step is an additional amount of XP, and you can see the totals here on screen right now as they go up between the tiers. As you do that, basically you'll get a certain reward. So, looking here, silver boosters. And then when you reach 25,000 XP one, which is 65,000 XP total, you'll be able to choose one of the following tanks. Now, these tanks are the Lycan T71, the Revenant Craft Panther, and the Kaiju OI. Now, in terms of the most competitive tanks that will actually perform the best within the game, then I would have to say it's got to be the Lycan T71 if you haven't got the tank itself. And obviously, if you then want the second most, it's probably the Revenant Craft Panther next, and then the Kaiju OI in terms of the way I would pick the tanks myself. Obviously, if you don't have any of them, or you do have some of them, then pick the ones you don't have, if you are going to pick any of these. Now, it's only available once per account, so you can't complete this operation multiple times. So if you choose one of them, you will only be able to choose that singular one tank from this operation. And as you go through, you unlock the higher tier tanks within the game. Now, once you've picked one tank, so whether that be a Lycan T71 at the beginning, or whether you pick a Goronich over here, the Goronich KV5, you will essentially only be able to pick one of them. So you cannot pick one from each set, so you can only claim one monster tank through the Monster Hunter Challenge. So don't go thinking, oh yeah, brilliant, I can choose one of the following, the Lycan, the Revenant, and the Kaiju, and then I can pick another one out of these set of tanks. It is just one overall, so remember that. Learn how much XP you're going to probably get within the operation, which is going to last probably in the region of 2 weeks. So you've got about 2 weeks to be able to complete this. Think about how much your XP you're going to get. Wait until you completely either finish the operation, getting to 275,000 XP total, which, trust me, is not that hard, as long as you play a decent amount. And once you get there, then pick the tank that you actually want. Of course, if you don't reach the top one, then just pick the tank that you want out of the options you have available. And if you do manage to get that 275,000 XP total, I think the tank that I would recommend the most out of all of these available Monster Hunter tanks, it would probably have to be the Bellerophon. I think that is just generally probably the better one of them all. It's basically a Centurion Mark 5/1 that's got like a little bit more spaced armor on it. And so I think that's probably the one I would go with. Other noticeable choices are maybe going with something like the Goronich, just for the meme value. It's probably not the best tank in the game. Well, it certainly definitely isn't the best tank in the game, that's for sure. But it definitely has some fun moments that you can have with it. So if you're going for like a fun option, then yeah, the Goronich might be one of those. It's like a ramming boy. You want to be ramming into people. But if you want to get a light tank that's got a fairly good autoloader, then the Lycan T-71 is the one for you. Then we also have things like the Wraith, which is okay, the Bog Horror. They're not particularly overpowered, the Monster Hunter tanks, to be honest with you, in the common matchmaker. You have things like the Hollenhund that are pretty decent as well. It's like a medium light tank hybrid type thing that's a German Walker Bulldog, essentially, for tier 8 premium. Fun to play, and yeah, I think it's up to you which one you pick at the end of the day, but definitely take into account whether or not they're competitive. Think about the non-skinned Monster Hunter versions of them, because most of them are just reskinned versions of tanks that are already in the game. The Hollenhund basically is similar to the M41 Walker Bulldog. Goronich is a KV5. The Dragon Type 62 is just a Type 62 with a bigger gun, I think. Bog Horror is the Mutant. Wraith Panzer 58 is just the 58 Mutz. Inferno has some spaced armor, and I think it's like the Huntsman. I'm not entirely sure though. But yeah, you can definitely have a look around and see which one you want to get. Inferno actually has 440 alpha, so it's not something I think you can just pick up. It's got the Conqueror turret, the stock Conqueror turret, so it's not even that good. But yeah, it's definitely down to you which ones you want to get. But yeah, take it in the comment section down below as well, see what other people are thinking, because it's just my opinion as to which I would probably pick. So there we go. Anyway, moving on. Not only will you be able to pick up one of these tanks, but if you decide that you are going to be grinding the game for the next season, then of course you want to be making sure that when you're playing World of Tanks, you're taking advantage of the ×2 Commander XP bonus, especially if you are looking to get more 9-skill crews, which I would 100% recommend. If you haven't got a lot of crews, or if you're a new player to the game, this is a fantastic time. There is probably no better time to be able to train your crews up, get yourself a Monster Hunter tank, jump in that tank, play it to death, literally just continuously play it until you've got a crew that is fantastic. Make sure that you use your boosts for the Commander XP within this time to be able to get even more Commander XP per game, and then you'll be able to just storm through all of those 9 tiers of the commanders, and then you can pick your 9 skill crews fairly easily. I would recommend probably getting through a lot of the early levels with your tanks, so putting in multiple crews into the various different Monster Hunter tanks. Obviously, if you have various different monster tanks within the game, then you'll be able to play all of them, which will all give you ×2 Commander XP. So this will be used for every single match, so you can earn twice the Commander XP, and that will be available for 2 weeks, or just under 2 weeks, for you to be able to use that boost throughout that time. Moving further on, we also have the Monster Drop Challenge. So if you're playing in a monster tank, not only will you be getting ×2 XP, but you'll have the ability to potentially get some rewards for playing, so you can get ×5 Commander XP for one battle. And basically, if you come first, or if you play in a multiplayer or Monsters Awaken mode between October, each victory in a purchased monster tank in multiplayer, so you have to buy the tank, which is a little bit sus from Wargaming there. Unfortunately, you won't be able to actually play with a tank that you already own. It's only available for those of you who want to pay money for the Monster Hunter tanks, which, yeah, that's just sus. I don't know. Up to you what you think of that, but yeah, I guess you'll have to see. Obviously, we'll have a look at the bundles later on and see which ones are actually worth it. Not only will we be having the monster medals and emblems, we'll also be able to get monster key cards. Now, whether or not I'll open a couple to show you what they're actually like and whether you should actually use them, open them, it's probably a no, but we're going to give them a go. We're going to see what they actually give you. Of course, if they actually have the ability to get tanks, that is, I won't be opening them if they're just commanders, because it's just a waste of money. But yeah, we'll have a look. Anyway, What else do we have? There's some key details here apparently, so the monstrous key cards, so here they are. Essentially, you'll be able to get commanders, yeah, there we go, and you'll have a 1% chance to get a Monster Hunter tank. So if you are trying to purchase these to be able to get one of these Monster Hunter tanks, don't. You'll have to open 100 key cards just to get on drop rate for the Monster Hunter tank, which is you're 100% better off just purchasing the tank that you actually want from the Monster Hunter bundles that we'll take a look at in just a second. Now that we've talked about obviously the event itself and the whole new season, obviously we'll talk more about the new season in just a second, but first off we'll look at the deals of the monster tanks. So all of you will probably be somewhat familiar with the monster tanks now that we've gone through all of that, so let's look at what the pricing is like on these bundles. So if you basically want to purchase all of the Monster Hunter tanks all in one, 27,000 gold. So that's going to cost you, well, just over £70, probably over $100. I mean, if you are super into World of Tanks and you want to play it to death and you're interested in Halloween or whatever it is, then maybe this bundle is good for you because it gives you an absolute ton of premium tanks. They're not all particularly amazing. There are some pretty terrible ones in there. I've not really heard much about the Kaiju OI. Goronich isn't very competitive but fun. Craft Panther, don't really know. I think that they're all fairly average. There's no real overpowered tanks within this bundle. But I think for 27,000, I mean, if you are going to spend that much, then the deal is not actually awful. But then again, you are spending, what, £100, or $100 and something dollars or £70. So yeah, kind of, it's up to you whether you want to spend that much money, but it's not an awful deal, even though it is like a ridiculous amount of money to spend on a free game, essentially. Moving further down, we got the Scary Quartet, which is 14,000 gold, so you aren't getting as good as saving. But remember, it's always better to buy the tanks that you actually want at a lower savings, especially if you didn't want the other ones and you would have to spend more money. Now, Scary Quartet comes with the medium tanks and the heavy tank. This one is probably actually a decent one. The Chimera looks fun. The Bellerophon is actually pretty decent, got that spaced armour that just trolls everyone. The Wraith Panzer 58, somewhat similar. Bog Horror is a mutant that doesn't really hold up in today's meta, to be honest. But 14,000 gold isn't awful, and I think, you know, if you're going to spend that much money, then you probably want to spend it on a fairly decent deal, and I think that this isn't awful for the amount of tanks that you do get for your money. Ancient Monsters, I would probably avoid this one. I think that there's better bundles. You've only got a 50% saving, so a lot of the time that you actually just better off saving your money and purchasing a more competitive premium tank than these ones. I think these are kind of the bundle that not too many people will go with. Then we have Spectral Sprinters, which is the light tanks, and if you are a light tank player, definitely all three of these are competitive, or at least you can play them very well in the game. If you know how to play light tanks, these are pretty good. Lycan is fantastic. Holland Hund is actually really nice after some of the buffs that it received. Dragon Type 62, I haven't played it too much, but I think it has for some fairly decent alpha for a light tank anyway at tier 7. If you like the Chinese light tanks, which I love the Chinese light tanks for some unbeknown reason, then yeah, you'll probably enjoy this tank too. Definitely an interesting tank line to go down if you haven't already. But there we go, those are the bundles. Let me know what you think about the tanks themselves. Obviously, if you want to purchase any of them, you'll get a 30% discount on all of the Monster Hunter tanks available at the moment. And then, of course, you get the new 3D like commanders, basically, and the key cards themselves. Other than that, let's move on to the next season and talk about what's actually in today's update as well. So let's get into that, and you'll see me in just a second. Right, so for those of you that don't know what this season is going to be and whether or not it's worth purchasing the season pass, this is the section of the video that will probably help you out. So First things first, Kinetic Fury Season, so the ultimate season pass level that you can purchase if you want to get those extra 25 levels, I think, that you get with them, and the premium tank, if that makes sense, from the season pass being that new monster tank, which has the ridiculous alpha. 6,000 gold is what it will cost you. Do I think that that's a good price for the tank that you'll probably get? Yeah. I think it is a fairly decent price. You know, you get loads of additional rewards. You get the 3D commander on top. I mean, if you're going to purchase a good premium tank or a new one, then you'd spend probably way more than this. And get into the fact that you actually get a lot of gold back. You know, you're probably not going to be spending too much on paying for that ultimate season pass in the end of the day anyway. Now, as far as other things, of course, the free tank being the NM116 Cold War Western Alliance post-war tank destroyer. Very weird tank, to be honest. Obviously, if you play the Cold War, then you're going to be really, really looking forward to this. This is, of course, the Era 1 tank, so post-war. So I guess if you're interested in getting another Cold War premium, then yeah, this is kind of the one for you to just grind towards. Means you don't have to actually pay any money if you don't really want to. But I would recommend purchasing the season pass for 2,000 gold, especially if you've just got 2,000 gold sat on your account and you're willing to play World of Tanks for the next season. So I think that is something you should probably do if you do have that gold, and even if you don't, paying like £6 to be able to get more gold back in a sense. You also get premium tanks with it. You get all of the rewards. You get premium time. You get key cards. You get extra stuff. So in fact, you actually probably get 3,000 gold back, at least minimum, because of the key cards that you get. If you get a premium tank and the key cards, even better. You get premium tanks from actually playing the season pass. It is the best thing that you can purchase in World of Tanks if you are going to be spending money. Do I say that you have to do it? Absolutely not. It's up to you whether you spend your money, but this is the best thing, pound for pound, if you're going to spend it, dollar for dollar. Yeah, this is the best thing to purchase in the game. Other than that, new 3D commanders we've gone through, and the return of Monster Hunter Challenge that we've also gone through. Halloween Garage is obviously going to be in the game, so you can see that. And then, of course, we will run through all of the Season Pass and the update itself tomorrow as of the recording of this video. And then we're basically going to get through every single thing, give the update a review. Is it good or not? Obviously, leave your comments as to whether you think the update is good after the first day. And yeah, I hope to see you in that next video. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to check out other videos, there should be some on screen. And if not, I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.